Alright, so my claim is the NFL's rules are poorly interpreted by official referees. Opponent's secondary claims the interpretation of a legal catch determines a team's victory or loss. The legal tackle is difficult to judge. The third is the interpretation of a legal block is controversial. The first claim is a player going to the ground. If a player goes to the ground in the act of catching a pass, he must maintain control of the ball after he touches the ground, whether in the field or a play or the end zone. If he loses control of the ball and the ball touches the ground before he regains control, the pass is incomplete. If he regains control prior to the ball touching the ground, the pass is complete. Reasoning challenges. The problem is there is nothing about how long of a process this is, which leaves the rule open to complete interpretation. While some, including the officials, may see the plan and think it was incomplete, others, like myself, believe it was a catch. Counterclaims. I do not think there's any doubt that this rule needs to be changed, or at the very least cleared up. With the way it was worded right now, a player could theoretically make a catch, maintain position after hitting the ground, and then have the pass ruled incomplete because he was simply handed the ball to an official. There's nothing in the rules about a second act, such as the receiver getting up off the ground, and there most certainly is nothing about how long he must maintain possession of the ball. While a player almost certainly would have the play ruled catch if he gets up off the ground with the ball, the rule is so ingenious that you could come up with many scenarios where an obvious catch could be interpreted as being incomplete. Response to the secondary claim 2. Once again, the refs call a penalty on Sun for what they thought they saw, but didn't really see anything. After the game, one guy honestly stated, "I felt it was unnecessary non-football act, a blow to the back of the runner's helmet in the process of him going down. It was a two-handed push to the shoulder pads. It may not have ultimately made that much of a difference in the game, but it should in no way be a personal foul." Reasoning challenges. An official, Ed, says that Son's forearm hit Cutler in the back of the head, but on the replay it was obviously not the case. Also, since Cutler was beyond the line of scrimmage and was not in the act of sliding to the ground, he is basically treated like a running back and can be tackled like a running back. Counterclaims. Now the news is that Son was fined $15,000 for pushing Cutler in the back with both his hands, did not touch the helmet, and did not use his elbow. 2. Hand touch stuff, not draw the fine. Son's hit wasn't dirty, it just looked dirty because he's such a physical freak of nature that even a fairly routine hit from him could send a player like Cutler hurtling to the ground. Even by the standards of NFL defensive tackle, Son's a monster. He was among the most impressive physical specimens at the 2010 Scouting Combine. He is casually revealed in an ESPN interview this week that he typically worked out with 485 pounds on the bench press bar. What feels to some like just shoving a runner down looks to observers like an act of violence. Response to the second claim, the third one. Contact with the hand will take place with the point of the ball that is furthest from the receiver's body. In this case, the receiver needs only guide the ball with his opposite hand into the armpit position and grasp it firmly to his body with the mid hand and arm. Reasoning to the challenges is hold the little fingers together for passes below jersey numbers, extend arms, forward pass, so that hands and ball in the field of vision.
All right, well, you follow a structure, but I'm not exactly sure I know why the positions that you're taking are contrasted to the advocate's position. You get so involved in some of the descriptions that I'm not sure whether or not you were simply repeating what the advocate made as a point on that issue, or whether you're suggesting that it's merely a second interpretation. I thought you were clearest on the first point when you made the argument that it comes down to an interpretation of the rules, and maybe there is some abstractness about how long the time limit lasts, and then you had a couple of hypothetical examples that could apply on that. I thought, okay, I can see where this is a point where, you know, there's ambiguity. So is it the problem? You know, is the problem with the rule, or is it with the officials? I can see maybe you're saying one direction and maybe the advocate's saying the other direction. After that, though, it just seems like you kind of get lost in the details of some of the rules and some of the hypotheticals without necessarily telling us how it contrasts to the advocate's argument. And there's so much reading in it, and it's so deliberate that it sounds like you've got some source citations that you're quoting, but you're not giving us the cite. And so as a consequence, you just end up reading information that doesn't sound like you really understand what the point is that you're making on it. And I think that's really problematic. It needs to be, you know, simpler and more direct to us. Here's how this point contrasts with what the advocate said. This point illustrates something that is completely the different direction of what they're talking about. Or it shows that there's room for interpretation, and it's not automatically wrong simply because it has to be interpreted. Or it might justify a change in the rules, but it doesn't necessarily justify a change in the officials. But you know, you're never doing that kind of summary. You're kind of all focused on this, you know, all this technical stuff without telling us what it means, and I think that's a little bit problematic.